but we want more people to be able to take advantage of using real estate as a tool in their financial belt. And I think a lot of people are interested in that, but don't really know how to get started. And to me, this is one of the easiest barriers of entry to overcome when it comes to real estate investing.
On this channel, we get a ton of questions and interests about not only what it's like living in the Pacific Northwest, but also about the best, most relevant ways to buy a house.
So whether you're looking to relocate, downsize, upsize, you're an empty nester, a first-time home buyer, in this video, we're going to show you one of our favorite ways. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Living in the Pacific Northwest with Hal Byrd. I'm Hal Byrd, and this is
JB.
And we have a relocation business. We help people from all over the country relocate, and the world, relocate to the Pacific Northwest, specifically the Southwest Washington and Portland metro areas, but we are expanding.
Going north, baby. And south, baby.
So if you're considering a move to the Northwest, please feel free to shoot us a text at 360-818-4438. We'd be happy to help you. We have a great team that can help you, whether you're looking to move to or move within the Southwest Washington and Portland metro areas, and you still get me on every single transaction. So I will be there with you every step of the way. So you can also book a Zoom. Contact information's in the description box. What are all the YouTuber things? Like, subscribe, comment.
Troll.
I missed you on video.
I bring a certain
Je ne sais quoi.
savoir-faire.
Savoir-faire.
This is a video we've been putting off for a while, but really excited to share with you. And if you've been on the channel before, you watched some of Hal's videos, you'll notice the background now is quite a bit different. So couldn't think of a better time to shoot this video because it's very relevant. So we're actually coming to you from our new home, new bird's nest, if you will. And while we're getting the office and studio up and running, we wanted to shoot this video about kind of a concept, a blueprint, a philosophy, if you will, about one of our favorite ways to buy a house.
So the name of the concept, and if you're a past client, you have probably heard me talk about this, but we call it the 2 to 5 year house. And this concept or philosophy is really designed to help you remove the stress and the pressure and the anxiety that sometimes comes with nailing your next home purchase.
Yeah, you have a lot of people call you and they're relocating, coming from another state, they're moving themselves, their family a lot of times, and they want to, you know, like you said, nail it. They want to get the perfect home, the perfect neighborhood, the first time around, and that's tough. Not only because you're moving to a new area, but also because of life, right?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, people's circumstances change all the time. And so outside of, I would say, my retired clients who, you know, I always do my best to find them their forever home because a lot of them don't want to move again. They want a single story home. They want something that they can age in place, and that's great. I would say for clients that are not in that position. So for instance, I just helped a couple. They were first-time home buyers out of my home state, California, and they had moved 11 times in the last 10 years.
That's, I can only imagine. I mean, just moving now, this is not something that you want to do as often, but I totally understand.
So they had a ton of pressure on picking like the perfect right house. They're like, we never want to move again. Like they have a 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old. And they were like, we want to raise her here and like live here, like well after she's gone as empty nesters. And, you know, I can totally respect that. And I think I found in the house to do that in, but not everyone can fit in that box where they can foresee accurately that they could live in a house for the next 10, 20, or 30 years.
And then again, in today's market, now you would know because you're the expert, how often does the average person stay in a house? 8 years. And that's gone up because I remember not too long ago, it was like closer to 5 years, right?
I think it was 7. We'll put up the chart.
But again, you know, hashtag life, there's all kind of circumstances in which that may happen a lot sooner. Even with us, you know, relatively new with this relocation real estate business, we've had clients already who have needed to move whether it be job relocation, health, personal issues, divorce. I mean, there's again, #life, right? There's a whole myriad of reasons to have to move sooner than you maybe had anticipated. So again, the 2 to 5 year blueprint, if you will, is designed to take a lot of pressure off of you if you know you want to move, you need to move, but not necessarily have to get it perfect, because that's almost impossible. Is there such thing as a perfect home?
I usually tell clients when I'm showing homes and I'm asking them, like, what did you think about the house? How would you rate this on a scale of like 1 to 10? And if they say an 8, that is a high indication to me that it is probably a house they should make an offer on.
So 8. And what about 7s? Can you use 7 or 7 not allowed?
7 is allowed, as I skew. That's sort of a niche reference.
Because you know.
The premise of a 2 to 5 year house is that you are buying a home that is, again, not the nail-it home, not the forever home, but a home that you like enough to live in for the next
2 to 5 years.
Really? I wouldn't have guessed that it was 2 to 5 years.
You make it so simple, even a bird can do it.
Even a bird can do it.
Yeah. So again, it's a home you may not love, or you may love, but the whole point is to, again, take the pressure, stress, anxiety off yourself. And it's a house that you can live in very happily, very comfortably, and budget-wise, because I think one of the headlines is unaffordability of housing. It's a house that you can also afford very comfortably.
Yeah, I have a lot of clients who are high-income earners. And when I say high-income earner, I'm usually talking on the $250,000 to $1 million range of clients that are in more than $1 million a year. And, sometimes they want like this perfect luxury house, especially if they're a first-time home buyer. When you're coming from a market like Los Angeles, I've had so many Los Angeles clients recently. I used to live in LA. You can't buy a shack for $800,000 practically. And so they have high income, they've worked up in their career, they're usually in their mid-30s to late 40s, buying a house for the first time, and they want this like perfect luxury house with like all of the things. And, for a specific client of mine, like most recently had this like come to Jesus moment with, in their household, they make, I don't know exactly, but around $400,000 to $500,000, but they have no savings. They don't have a down payment because they live in LA. They have high rent, high expenses, high taxes.
This would be a great time to reference our video about why Californians are fleeing for Washington State, wouldn't it?
The video we haven't yet filmed, but we're going to film.
I thought was one of your recent videos. Over It.
Oh, Over It, that video. Okay, that video's right here.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was a second video.
Shoot another video.
Let us know in the comments if you want that video.
Escape from CA.
Escape from CA. And then we'll do Escape from Seattle.
Yeah, of course. So get back on script, would you?
Yeah, so in their case, there were 2 things that were fighting against them. The interest rates today in 2024, which are around 7%, and their down payment. So they didn't have a large enough down payment to offset the price of the home into a place where the monthly payment would be comfortable. Because the house that they wanted, the monthly mortgage payment was higher than they felt comfortable with. Even though on paper, a mortgage company could approve them for it, they were like, we don't want to pay X $1,000 a month. That's just like outside of our comfort zone, but they also didn't have enough down payment to get the payment low enough to be in their comfort zone. So I told them, instead of trying to nail it on your first try, why don't you look at buying a 2 to 5 year property that you can live in for 2 to 5 years and let the market do what the market does, let it appreciate. And if you don't have to sell, the other thing that, when we're talking about this, that people...
This would be a great time to say, this is not financial advice.
No.
This is just our perspective.
This is, what do they say? Information
and educainment. Edutainment.
So buy a house that you like, going back, that you can live in now, doesn't overlook the Lacamas Lake or the Columbia River, isn't a 5,000 square foot house, but is a nice house where you'll be comfortable. And then in 2 to 5 years, when your house has appreciated some, when you paid the balance down some, because now you're living so within your means. If you wanted to make extra mortgage payments, you could.
If you wanted to make some cosmetic upgrades, right? So like in our case, this house, somebody wants to put in new floors, which will totally, transform the interior of the house. So again, you have enough room in your budget to comfortably afford it, to do some upgrades and kind of make it yours.
Yeah. And then at the end of that 2 to 5 year period, you can, like you said, reassess, and you can see, does this house make sense to leverage and borrow the equity out of it with a home equity line of credit or a HELOC. So leverage it to get your next down payment, or save a separate down payment because, again, you're living well within your means. You're not buying at the top of your budget. And you could also rent that house out, or you could sell it and take the equity out. I'm a big fan of turning it into a rental. I've had clients call me and want to sell their house. And I'm like, are you sure you don't want to rent it? Like, can we figure out a way for you to keep this house? Because real estate is a great tool for you to use towards your retirement goals.
Yeah. And I think the brilliance of the 2 to 5 year plan is that because, again, you didn't go to the top of your budget, right? There's a nice, very reassuring, stress-reducing cushion in there that allows you to live comfortably, and then when and if you decide to downsize, upsize, what is it called, maybe lateral move, whatever the case may be, just to move on, you can rent it out, possibly cash flow, have someone else pay down the rest of your loan. It just gives you some really good options, and it kind of to me, organically allows you to build somewhat of a rental portfolio and build assets.
Now, what if someone wanted to play, as one of my clients called it, play Monopoly, and they wanted to say, well, how many times can I do this?
Well, that's a good question. So now would be a good time to also talk about how financing plays into the 2 to 5 year plan. And because this is your personal residence, you'll find that the rates, the terms are much more advantageous, much more friendly, because this is an owner-occupied property versus an investment property.
Yeah. And this is something that you can do every year, because you can get a new owner-occupied loan every single year. And we'll dive into more of the financing with Rebecca on a new video. So if you want that video, put it in the comments below.
And this would also be probably a good segue into, everyone's situation obviously is different, a little bit different, and take advantage of maybe getting on your calendar to ask some questions about your home purchase.
Yeah, and we can do a joint Zoom with Rebecca too, to talk about how the financing plays into that. We really want to help more and more people. Obviously, we're helping people relocate here. We're helping our local clients here, but we want more people to be able to take advantage of using real estate as a tool in their financial belt. And I think a lot of people are interested in that, but don't really know how to get started. And to me, this is one of the easiest barriers of entry to overcome when it comes to real estate investing. Buy a house for yourself, live in it a couple years, rent it out, buy a new house, and you can do that. You can have up to 10 mortgages in your name. And if you're married, going back to living within your means, if you can have one spouse or the other qualify on a loan, you can put 10 mortgages in one person's name and 10 mortgages in another, up to. And then at that point, you might want to, all about the creatives and commercial.
So at that point, typically you're in a position to start exploring commercial options, because then that becomes more advantageous than necessarily having 10 or 20 personal mortgages in your name. But again, you have those options, and it's very organic, again, very stress-free in a lot of ways. This is also a good way to get in the game sooner versus waiting another year or 6 months or 2 years or 10 years.
Because we obviously know, home ownership, I don't think if you went and surveyed people, home ownership isn't getting easier. I think it's only gotten harder in the last 10 years and the last 20 years. Home ownership rates are going down, not up.
Yeah.
And some of the examples we gave are for high income, but you can do this if you are in a more median income range. We just have to be strategic about the homes that we choose, about the financing, and about how to get you in. And then if you're on the lower part of the income scale, there are programs that we can use to help you get in a home, both in Oregon and Washington. You do not necessarily have to be a first-time home buyer for those programs. Again, make sure to schedule Zoom. That's one of the best ways to get myself and my team to help you and figure out your personal situation, because like you're always saying, your mileage may vary.
It will definitely vary. But just a couple other, to me, advantages, upsides to the 2 to 5 year home is that you can, of course, rent it, which is one of your favorite strategies. Keep it for appreciation, cash flow, build a portfolio. But if, let's say, the market goes up and you have equity, you could sell it. Because if you live in a property 2 of the last 5 years, a good way to avoid short-term capital gains taxes. Great time to pause this. Again, not financial advice, not tax advice, but of course, consult with your financial advisor, tax preparer, CPA, all the professionals.
And what I would say is, if you're looking at that 2 to 5 year rule, let's say you want to sell the house within 5 years, so you're going to live in it the first 2, you're going to rent it out the last 3. sell it in, before the end of year 5. That will help you avoid short-term capital gains. But if you're looking at it becoming a longer investment property, so you're going to live in it the first 2 to 5 years, but you're going to hold on to this property 10, 20 years, and you're concerned about capital gains when you do want to sell, one of the things you can utilize is a 1031 exchange. And I've had some people call me recently wanting to do a 1031 exchange on their personal properties, and that's not something that you can do. A 1031 exchange is a tool that you can use. It's an IRS tax rule, and it allows you to sell an investment property and reinvest those funds without paying capital gains. So I've helped quite a few people do this because they're moving up here to the Northwest and they wanted to bring their rental properties with them without paying the taxes. Right now we're in the middle of helping someone from the Bay Area. They sold one property for a very considerable amount, and they are buying 4 properties here and not paying taxes on the gains that they made
That sounds like
out
a
of
great
state.
future video topic.
It is a great
How to
future
turn
video.
one property into 4.
You're a magician, I know. So some of the things I think to know about this area and why we think that it's a great place to own investment property. I mean, there's cheaper states, but some people, number one, feel comfortable being able to go and see their rental properties, to have access to them without having to get on a plane.
I learned that the hard way.
But here, when we moved here in 2018, the median home price was around $350,000. Today, it's closer to $575,000 in a 6-year time span, which is an increase of almost 65%. Obviously, there was a black swan event in there, aka the C word that shall not be named. And in some ways, while it's an anomaly, even before, and if you take out what happened during that time period, over the prior 40 years, real estate on average appreciated about 4%. So obviously a lot higher in the last few years, but over time, real estate is just one of those assets. They're not making more land. There's always more new stocks and IPOs and companies going out of business. And, the stock market's a great place to have your money, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's the only place you should have your money.
Right. And there's a reason they call it real property or real assets, right? And even thinking back to like 2007, 2008, the Great Recession, it was the end of the world for a lot of us, But guess what? Lo and behold, after a few years, continue that elevator ride to the top.
Yeah, the biggest thing there is if you didn't have to sell, which goes back to being well within your means. And, whether that means that you're attacking the principal of the loan, whether that means that you are letting someone else pay it down for you, there's, it gives you so many more options and so much more flexibility. And my clients that I was giving an example of that didn't have quite enough down payment, one of the things that he was had a hard time wrapping his mind around was he's like, I make more money than my parents. I feel like I should be able to afford a house that's just as nice as their house. But I'm like, but your parents did that over time. And they were able to take advantage of the rising tide that lifts all boats.
Right. And realistically speaking, they did it in a time where houses didn't cost what they cost now.
Right.
Going back to your point a second ago.
Yes. And one of the things that we are this year in 2024 that we are really, I would say a perspective that's new to us is the idea that the Vancouver and the greater Vancouver / Southwest Washington area will probably end up becoming more like Bellevue than not. I do think there's going to be a point in time, specifically in somewhere like Camas, where you can't buy a starter home in Camas under $1 million. I think that is going to happen.
Right. And going back, to something you just said a second ago, rising tide lifts all boats. And we're talking primarily now on the Washington side, but a lot of this applies to Oregon as well, just across the river. But here in what I call Greater Vancouver, the 5 boroughs, Vancouver, Camas, Washougal, Ridgefield, Battle Brown, and that's always kind of expanding north. But the point is, one of those areas, Camas, was literally just rated one of the top 50 places to live in the entire country.
And not by some rinky-dink publication.
By Money Magazine. So what that tells me is that even if next door to Camas and Washougal or Vancouver or Ridgefield or Battleground, well, guess what? That quality of life, a lot of those attributes apply to there as well. So again, we're really excited about the future for this particular area, and another reason to try to get in the market in the game as soon as you can.
Continue paying rent at 100% interest, or you can pay 7%, now and hopefully refinance. But one of the conversations I'm always having with my clients is the numbers need to work at today's interest rates, because what if you can't refinance? So we're talking through and educating our clients and consulting. We really serve a consulting role when it comes to relocation and making sure that, to the best of our ability, that you are protected. Our goal is to protect your wealth, protect your assets, and having a real piece of property that is secured is, I think, one of the best ways to do that.
Yeah. And don't know how this will come up, but we're in a position where we're blessed to, not have to have someone close on a house to pay the bills and to eat, right? So that puts us in a position where you can give them the best advice, that you can, that's not like selfishly driven or motivated.
Yeah. I mean, I've told a lot of people, I don't think you should buy right now. You should probably rent, because, example, someone came to me and their wife was going to go back to grad school, and he didn't know if she was going to go to University of Portland or they were going to go back to Eastern Europe to study. And I'm like, how do you feel about having a rental property? You can live in it for a year and rent it. And he was not comfortable with that if they went out of the country. And so I said, I think you probably should rent for a year, figure out what your wife is going to do for school, and then let's revisit this next year.
So again, just wanted to kind of share a perspective that we use personally. Like, the house that we are now living in is not perfect, right? It doesn't have a RV parking or a 12-car garage or
12-car.
Yes, 12 car.
Is that what you're gonna graduate on?
Yeah, maybe, perhaps, maybe. So we'll see in 2 to 5 years, right? But the point is, it's not perfect, but it's perfect for the situation. And again, we're very comfortable. We love our neighborhood. It's well within our means. So it'll allow us some really good options now and in the foreseeable future. So
yeah, and this is something that you can rinse and repeat. So you can go and buy the dream house, but you can also go and buy another 2 to 5 year house and another 2 to 5 year house, and you can do that as often as every year for pretty much as long as you want.
Right. And it's just, there's a certain luxury in not being stressed out or anxious or maxed out. So again, I think a lot of us are starting to look at things, and over the last couple of years where everything seemed like it would just go up forever. A lot of us are saying, okay, well, there could be a situation where I'd be served to be within my means and not be at the top of everything. So hopefully you guys found this video enjoyable, maybe thought-provoking. Again, not financial or tax advice. And hopefully this comes off as something and someone who you'd like to reach out to for your next purchase, sale, or investment property. So how will someone get in contact?
All my contact info is in the description below.
And if you have any, ideas for future videos, we're always have our ears open. So those of you who do take the time to comment and share some thoughtful, thoughts and perspectives, we really, really appreciate it. If you have ideas for future videos, please feel free to share that in the comment. And thank you for watching.
Ciao.
Ciao. Shrink.
I just don't want you to be like all over me.
Is that what I'm doing?
No, not quite, but almost.
So on this channel, we get a ton of questions and interest about not only what it's like living in the Pacific Northwest, but also maybe some of the...
Whether you're relocating, upsizing, downsizing, empty nester, or first-time home buyer, in this video, we're going to show you some of our favorite ways.
Stay tuned. What?
I said some of our favorite ways.
This is the one. Book it. So on this channel, we get a ton of questions and interest about... Get your phone, genius. This is the one.
Some of the examples that I just fit.
Yikes.
So some...
Again, not financial advice, not tax advice, but, of course, consult with your consultant. Of course. Really excited to share with you because, again, it's just relevant.
It's the ice maker, I think.
Is that normal?
I don't know, but I think it's the ice maker.
That sounds like a refrigerator I picked up on the sidewalk somewhere. Come on, Samsung.
Oh, we're gonna have too many outtakes and shenanigans.
We're gonna have some good outtakes and shenanigans on this one for sure.